For Global Business Update, Rotus Odiri joins us now. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning,
Morning,
Five. Good morning to
Rotus.
all our viewers. We kick things off with what to watch. There's a whole lot that is to be expected as far as this week is concerned. Lots of data from the United States, lots of data from China, lots of data from Russia, the Ukraine. We're going to be getting a lot of trade data starting tomorrow from China. That is industrial figures. July CPI from Germany, and then of course you've got trade figures from China. Then you go on Wednesday, we're going to get CPI, PPI data, that's producer price inflation data from China as well. Ukraine releases their CPI information on Wednesday as well. So does Russia. So they both come out on the same day. And then we've got more data coming out from the United States and also Turkey, July unemployment as well. And then producer price inflation from the United States. Oil prices very much in focus, with oil now at $86 a barrel. Remember, I keep saying that Goldman Sachs said that we would see that by December. But what we saw over the weekend was, and this video has been confirmed by the Associated Press, of a drone attack on a Russian vessel in Black Sea, the Novorossiysk port, which is very crucial for grain, and I think about 10 to 20% of Russian oil exports to Kazakhstan, which is routed to Europe. So both of these headwinds, of course, impacting oil prices, and now we're seeing outlook of oil rising even higher. Now, that, of course, has implications not only for us. The U.S., they are very, very troubled now. Biden has, of course, an election next year, and rising fuel prices impacts consumer confidence, and also their views of the current administration tends to sour when fuel prices are going up. So if fuel prices have hit a high not seen since October of 2022, and then very crucially, U.S. crude stock inventory, the strategic petroleum reserves, I think it dropped to a low not seen since the 1982. According to the Energy Information Unit there. So, and basically what that means is that the United States has been drawing down on its crude reserves in order to try to support prices. There's also been higher energy demand in the United States, and they even backed off on buying more crude in order to replenish the petroleum reserves as a result of prices. Saudis have cut oil production. They said they're going to extend that, so that, of course, is having its issues. Speaking of the Saudis, the Wealth Fund, Public Investment Fund, releasing their 2022 report, they suffered a $15 billion loss for the 2022. This was on the back of SoftBank. As you know, the Saudis have been putting money everywhere. They're putting money in football, they're putting money in tech. So the SoftBank, that their value fund, lost about $32 billion last year. So as a result of the heavy investment that the Saudis had in there, it fell. Assets under management is crossed almost at $600 billion now. 12% growth, 23%, this is very interesting, 23% of the assets under management are from international investments, 68% in the local economy. Interestingly, they didn't put 2022 returns to shareholders, although I'm seeing some reports that it was about 8%. We go to the United States, and this was the job numbers we were waiting for. They came in weaker than expected. 200,000 was what was forecast for July. 187,000 jobs were created. We saw some strength in leisure and I think construction or so. 185,000 was for June. So this, of course, you couple that with some other things. The labor market in the United States is still relatively strong. Wage growth, or rather wage inflation, that is still on an upward trajectory as far as the United States is concerned. So those are the job numbers that we're seeing from the States. Elon Musk and Zuckerberg. So Elon Musk said Zuck and the Musk fights will be streamed on X, as Twitter. All the proceeds will go to charity for veterans. Zuckerberg then replied on Threads, saying, and he threw a shot at Twitter saying, or X, shouldn't we use a more reliable platform that can accurately raise money for charity? Of course, he's replying on another platform. Then Musk again sent another tweet saying he's been lifting weights throughout the day, preparing for the fight. I don't have time to work out, so I just bring his weights to work. I've actually considered doing this, putting my weights under my desk. And then Zuckerberg said, so this is the thing. Zuckerberg said, I'm ready today. I suggested August 26th when he first challenged but he hasn't confirmed. Not holding my breath. So he's throwing some doubts on the possibility of the bout taking place. And then over to films. Barbie, after just 3 weeks, has crossed $1 billion as of yesterday. The movie is doing incredibly well. So is Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is, of course, for Christopher Nolan. That has crossed $550 million at the global box office after just 3 weeks. This outside you take away non-Batman Batman movies. This is one of his most successful films. So those are, and I still haven't had time to see either one of these films. All right, we come to Africa now. S&P global ratings upgrading Nigeria's credit outlook. They upgraded it to stable from negative. This was late Friday when they put out a notice. However, the rating is still at B-, so we're still 6 notches into junk status. The reason they say is because of the fuel subsidy removal and the collapsing of the various exchange rate windows to put much more transparency. If you remember that JP Morgan years ago, 2016-17, kicked Nigeria out of their bond index because of a lack of transparency with respect to foreign exchange and all the FX charges that were linked to that fixed exchange rate that we couldn't defend. And when you think about if the 4 of us are fund managers in a global investment firm and we're looking for where to put money, Doctor says put money in Turkey, Ayo says put money in Nigeria, Rufai says put money in Thailand. Investment managers will use ratings and other metrics to decide where they put their funds. So still lots of work to be done. But in the same vein, where in the same week you saw Fitch downgrading the United States, Janet Yellen said it didn't matter, Jamie Dimon said it didn't matter. Well, the markets responded and they said it did matter. Ratings matter. So this at least says that Nigeria is on the right path, but more policies need to be put in place. Then we've also got Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi voicing their concerns over GSK exiting Nigeria. Atiku is saying the exits from Nigeria after more than 5 decades underscores how horrific the environment has become for both local and foreign businesses. Sadly, many international firms have in recent times sold assets and bid farewell. And then he says there that these exits have led to further loss of jobs in an environment that is already bleeding jobs. Peter Obi also speaking as well, saying, well, this is the second part of his tweet. We got the first part where he said, I've just learned with sadness that GSK is exiting Nigeria. But either way, we've painfully come to that point in our nation's journey where multinationals are leaving the country and local ones are closing. This is very key, though. He said these are some of the consequences of cumulative poor management of the economy. GSK, of course, in their notice saying that, well, they are transferring third-party distribution for pharmaceutical products they are transferring distribution of pharmaceutical products to a third party. Basically, they're leaving. Somebody else is going to be taking over. Don't forget, I think it was 2013 or 2014 that they exited drinks, right? And the parent company did that. The Nigerian unit said they will keep on going. I think it was 2014, 2015 that they exited. They make Ribena and all these other brands. Yeah. They exited that. So 2 key things was, one is foreign exchange. Again, that's another issue. Access to foreign exchange hit them, and also they're facing more competition. And then, by the way, S&P, just quickly, S&P, the ratings upgrade, they pointed to Niger. I had you 3 talking about the deadline elapsing, and you look at the mapping and how strategic this is. Niger has closed their airspace yesterday. That is, possibly escalation of tensions. You can see how in the middle of this map, what it means for the countries around, especially Nigeria, that's sits on top. So lots of concern there.
So a couple of things about America. Oh dear, the America.
Oh, sorry. This is Tinubu meeting with governors of the states that border Niger yesterday. Yeah.
Dear America, with the strategic natural reserve that he had to start, that started in 1975 because of the pressures as regards the oil market, and America has over 700 million barrels of crude oil stored in there. The concern is they've been pushing it to over 1 billion, but they've not affected those contracts across the 4 bunkers where they store, this oil in salt, pretty much. That's where they store this oil. And because of this year, because of the fluctuation in price, they've had a lot of drawdowns, according to governmental provisions. But it is how they can expand on this and buy when the price probably cools off. Probably they like to buy a barrel when the price ranges about $6 to $7 per barrel. Maybe there are lessons we can learn from there. As regards GSK, the effect, me, I'm a man on the streets, and I tell people the street yarns, not any hypothetical yarns. Just go and check the price of augmentin as we speak today. The massive leap in the price of augmentin is something that is scary for millions of people out there. So this problem as regards our economy is real. Augmentin is going to about 16,000 naira now.
I mean, the price of a lot of food items, drugs have gone up. That's the truth, about double.
Mostly imported, remember
yes,
that?
Mostly
so
imported,
FX
yes.
is part of that story.
Obviously, because of FX. But one of the things that Mr. Peter Obi and Waziri Atiku had said, which is very critical, is how we attract or keep foreign investors because of our policies and, of course, the pressures on the FX. And the attendant effect on the job market in Nigeria. This is definitely a negative in terms of this particular for the economy, because beyond just the price of their product is also the loss of jobs. What we're looking forward to is more investors coming in here to invest in businesses, their businesses here in the nation, and then create more jobs for people. So the ripple effect of that is what we should begin to measure, and it's quite unfortunate. And perhaps it's an opportunity for the next, the ministers who would come in to devise creative ways to ensure that not only businesses stay in Nigeria, but also how to create more jobs for the people in Nigeria.
Okay, GSK Pharmaceuticals closing shop in Nigeria. That shouldn't be surprising. With the economic hardship in the country, we have seen that again and again. Go to the palms. Many of the businesses that used to be there, they've left town. Many other businesses have left Nigeria and gone to neighboring countries. So this is after a pattern, but constructed in terms of the number of people that will lose their jobs, the lack of confidence in the Nigerian market. And then it raises questions about what have we been doing in the last 8 years about enabling environment for business. So that's a bad comment. More companies will probably leave as government fails to get the economic fundamentals right. I was going to talk about Australia and China. It looks like there's some rapprochement now between them. They were fighting 2020, 2021 over international position on China and COVID. And now, Australia, say in April, deciding not to pursue its protests against China at the WTO. China now has said, okay, we have, taken off the tariffs they imposed on the importation of Australian barley. But the Australian authorities are saying it should go far enough. There's still wine. But this is the connection between international politics and trade.
Indeed.
And how that determines everything. This week, on Thursday, we're going to get the CPI figures from the United States. The question is, do we have any clues about what the Federal Reserve will do in the face of slowing inflation figures, high economic growth? Would the Federal Reserve further apply the screws or pause or soften?
I think they'll pause. We've seen their last rate hike in July.
We'll see
what happens.
on Thursday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you tomorrow and, of course, later on Global Business Report.